Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session on Rap Knowledge Live. This session it's about leveraging technology and youth power for safer roads. Let's just give 1 extra minute for people to keep entering the session, and we will start point oh 02 sharp. Let's get it started for respect of your own times and for respect of the speaker's times. First of all, as usual, welcome to this 10th session of the Rap Knowledge Live monthly events. It's great to have you, and thanks again for taking 1 hour of your time to join us. Today, as I told, we are going to be having this session about leveraging technology and youth power for safer roads. Our presenters will be Siddhartha Ha. Sorry if I mispronounce some names. He's the AI and digital innovation lead with Foundation Bodnar. We will have also Hong Wei, senior program manager with AIP Foundation, Frank Truong with AIP Foundation and senior manager as well. We will have Shana Lucchesi, project coordinator with IRAP, and we will have Molly Stoneman, director of projects and partnerships for yours. Just to do some housekeeping as we usually do before these sessions. This webinar is going to be 45 minutes webinar of knowledge sharing, and then we will have 10 minutes for questions and discussions. The content, you usually ask for the slides and the video after the session, and they will be available through our website in irap.org/training. You will find all the content. For sure, by tomorrow, you will find this because after the session, we will processing that. Um, and just in order to keep the session going, let's say, during the presentation, you will see that you don't have the ability to unmute yourselves. But we will be expecting your questions through the Q&A, and we will be, well, directing those questions to the speakers or answering those questions by written. But by the end of the session, when we have those 10 minutes for discussing, you will be able to raise your hand and do your questions. We would really like to hear from you in that time of the session. So just an overview of the agenda. We will start with Sid with some opening remarks from Foundation Bodnar. Then we will have a session empowering youth for safer roads with Trang and Shana. Importance of youth engagement in road safety. That's going to be led by Molly and also Shana. And the presentation of the safe school zones in Vietnam, who is going to Hong, sorry, is going to take care of that topic. So without further ado, I will give the floor to Sid. Sid, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Franco, and hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. I know you are dialing in from different parts of the world. My name is Siddhartha Jha, and I'm the AI and Digital Innovation Lead at Foundation Botna. I've had the privilege of collaborating with colleagues at AIP Foundation and IRAP on this very interesting project in Vietnam, AI and me, empowering youths for safer roads. But before I say more about the program and how it fits our strategy, I would like to talk a little bit about Function Botnar. And if I can, yeah. So Function Botnar is a Swiss philanthropic foundation based in Basel, Switzerland, focused on the well-being of young people and especially young adolescents around the world. We fund research, implementation, and advocacy projects in and around the world in different countries, but with a special focus on resource constrained contexts. We also engage in venture philanthropy, strategic communications, and engage with different stakeholders to focused on with the aim to improve the well-being and health of young people. We recognize that the lives of young people play out in urban and digital spaces. So they grow up, live, work, and play, form relationships in cities and in digital spaces. And it's very important to get their perspectives and inputs while we are designing infrastructures and in these two domains, in cities and also digitally. So with this view, can we go to the next slide, Franco? Fondation Botnar launches different programs over the years. And one of the important programs that we launched in 2020 was Fit for Future, which through an open innovation call sourced projects from around the world focused on the well-being of young people. But the initiative also focused on harnessing the power of technology, data, and AI for their well-being. So we see technology as a partner of young people in improving their well-being, in giving them the agency to shape the world around them. The phase one of this initiative lasted between 2020 and 2024. In the beginning, we selected 14 projects from around the world out of 300 that applied, and AI and Me, led by AIP Foundation and IRAP and other partners of the consortium, was one of these 14 projects. The project completed its phase one implementation in this year, and it was also selected for continued partnership in phase two because of the impact that it achieved on the ground in Vietnam. So again, Fit for Future initiative, to which this project belongs, sits at the center of urban, digital, and youth agency. So I mentioned earlier, young people's lives play out in cities and digital spaces, but it's very important for us to engage with young people, to use technology to harness their agency in shaping the world around them. And Fit for Future epitomizes this fact. So you can see the projects are from around the world, and the AI and Me is a key project in Southeast Asia. I would like to talk a little bit more about AI and Me. Maybe next slide. So I had the privilege of visiting this project with the rest of the colleagues from Fondation Botnar last year, and saw firsthand the impact of the project on the ground in November. These are some pictures from our visit. And what for us this project is about is enabling collective agency of young people in shaping the environment, the urban environment around them, and using technology and digital platforms and Ye app as a partner in that agency. So for us, this is a model template which can inform and inspire similar initiatives around the world. And we are very proud of partnering with the consortium led by AIP and IRAP and others on this project, AI and Me. So without saying much more, I would now hand it back over to Franco to get into the gist of the presentation and enjoy the rest of the talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Siddhartha, and the whole Fondation Botnar for taking the time, for being here, and for all your efforts in this project. Thank you, Siddhartha. So yes, following with the presentation, as we so far don't have any questions, I would like to give the floor to Trang and Shanna on empowering youth for safer roads. So Trang, Shan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Franco. I'll start, but Trang and I were going to share the slides and some presenting some thoughts as this presentation progresses. So if you can move on to the next slide, Franco. So just very quickly, I think you all might know IREP and have been in contact with IREP in different forms. But IREP is a charity based in UK. We are focused on road safety and how infrastructure can play a role to avoid fatalities and severe injuries in roads. We have this vision of a world free of high-risk roads that we truly believe it's possible through partnerships. So basically, partner with the Foundation Botnar, AIP Foundation, yours, and other organizations are quite key for our success. And as you can see, we have already apply our methodologies and tools that we developed to increase safety on roads in more than 128 countries. We have more than 1,600 schools assessed already. So we have some key numbers to show what we have been focusing on and working on in this past years, and we continue to do with the support of the partners and that you in the audience as well. So next slide, and perhaps Frank, if you want to introduce AIP Foundation as well.
Yeah, sure, Sanna. Firstly, my name is Trang Truong. I currently work at AIP Foundation as a senior program manager, and today it is my pleasure to share with you our work in Vietnam. Before sharing, so please allow me some time to have a short introduction of my organization. AIP Foundation is a non-profit organization dedicated to saving lives on the roads and increasing access to safe, equitable, and sustainable mobility for all. We have 25 years of road safety expertise in delivering comprehensive, evidence-based intervention in high-need communities. Our inclusive and targeted programs pave the way to sustainable changes.
Thank you,
Jana,
Frank.
maybe you can share about the Me project.
Yes, thank you. Next slide, please, Franco. So starting to talk about a little bit about the project and project background and why exactly we came up with this idea of developing these tools, methodologies, and the framework for school assessments that we're going to show you later on. So you are, of course, aware of the problems of the enormous problems of road safety in every community on Earth. So road crashes are the leading cause of death for children and young adults aged 50 to 29 years old globally. And we, as partner of this project, we truly believe if we meaningfully engage youth, we can really help foster greater ownership of road safety issues. And as the slide is showing, our world is home to 1.8 billion young people between the age of 10 and 24. So it's a huge opportunity to support these communities of understand road safety issues, create some capacity to advocate for better, safer roads, and then create, of course, a more safe, sustainable, and innovative future. So if you can go to the next slide, please. So in the case of Vietnam, this is not different. So in Vietnam, road crashes are the third leading cause of death from 15 to 49 years old. Only looking for young people, this representing 17.2% of road crashes related fatalities. And Vietnam was also a very interesting case because it's a very digitalized community. So usually youth have a very good understanding and access to technology that also allowed us to develop part of what we are piloting in this project, as Siddhartha just presented, that had this focus on data and AI and digital technologies. So next slide, please. So a little bit more about the project. So it was a 3-year project starting in 2021. We just finished at the beginning of this year. Was funded by Foundation Botnar and FIA Foundation, and the project partners as AIP Foundation and IREP represented in this webinar, but also Andiri, that it's a digital company focused on data collection based on Australia. So we pilot the project in 3 cities in Vietnam, so Dien Bai, Pleiku, and Ho Chi Minh City. And the main objective was to harness, prove, and emerging big data and digital technologies to give the government some support on really implementing interventions where the roads are mostly needed and where the young people also participated in this process and indicate the locations where we need to do something about it. Next slide, please. So as part of the project, we developed this framework that it's basically based on these 3 levels of analysis. So we start like citywide, and then we go very local on spot locations around the schools to understand risk and provide recommendations for solutions. So the first methodology that we call big data screening aims to answer questions like, okay, I have some road safety issues in my city. I want to improve safety around schools in my city, but which should be the schools I should prioritize? So basically what we did was develop a method that leverage the potential of common available databases. So we are looking for social demographic data, we're looking for OpenStreetMap, we're looking for telematics data, so different data sources that are out there. Some of these data sources are open, so it's freely available. So we organize this in a way that we could rank the schools from higher to lower road safety risk for pedestrians based on what is available in the literature about pedestrian macro analysis. So this methodology was applied and tested in Vietnam, and it's documented in one of the project reports. So it is accessible for anyone that wants to replicate and transfer what we learned from Vietnam to other contexts. Then we felt this need on engaging a little bit more meaningfully the school community into this process. So no one knows better what they face every day traveling to and from school than the school community. So we developed this tool that we call the Youth Engagement App, that it's an intuitive digital risk perception tool. So we are basically collecting here perceptions of risk from students. And then they use the tool to pin locations and report if they feel safe, unsafe, or very unsafe in their journey to school. So this can be done in different ways. The idea of having like a mobile application here was to scale this process, because we could just go to the school community, for example, discuss the areas or doing some activities with the students to understand exactly what are the issues they face going to school. But the idea of creating a mobile app is for them to be able to share the application between their peers, and then we scale the data collection and the information that we are getting from the students. So at the end, we train 1,800 students, and we receive more than 18,000 locations reported in the platform in the 3 pilot cities. And these locations were used to inform the locations where the Star Rating for Schools assessments were conducted. So you might be aware of the Star Rating for Schools tool and program at the end. So basically we develop a method to classify risk for pedestrians in the surroundings of the schools. This methodology classifies risk into 1 to 5 star, where 1 star is the unsafest situation and 5 star is the safest situation. And basically we look for the information provided by the students and identify the locations where we have a high concentration of pins. So for example, let's say that some particular intersection we have a lot of students saying that it was very risky to cross the streets in that intersection. We then assess this location using the Star Rating for Schools guidelines and tools to understand the risk, not only the perception of risk, but the real risk of that location, and provide some recommendations to it. But of course, everything was not being possible without the work on field in the stakeholder engagement. So it was not only for the local government, but also the national level. Some of the work done for the school zone guide that Hong will present later today was also part of this initiative of getting the Vietnamese government on board of the project and willing to implement the recommendations later on. And there is a lot of engagement as well of the school community, so principals, teachers, to open the school doors for the project team, getting there, train the student, do some dissemination and engagement activities for us to be able to get all this information from the community. So basically, this is the framework. We have these four steps and methods that are open and transferable. So if you have any ideas of where you see possibilities of applying the framework or any individual tools, the project team can happily guide you through all these tools and how to use it. We also have some QR codes in the screen where you can have access to the Youth Engagement app, but also for the Star Rating for Schools mobile app. And now I think the next slide, we go into the details of the achievements of the project for you to get a little bit of inspiration. And then I will hand it to Trang from this slide on. Thank you, Trang.
Yeah, thanks, Shanna. So in addition to the development of digital tool that Shanna just mentioned, in this project, we would like to share with you how we engage our young people in driving change. And as Ms. Shanna just mentioned about, the youth engagement app was developed in collaboration with our young people. We conducted interviews and discussion with our young people to get their opinions. In this way, youth feel more curious, valued, and motivated to contribute to the project. More than 1,800 young students from 18 secondary school, high school, college, and university participate in this pilot, and they work, recruit, and train on safe infrastructure around the school zone, how to utilize the youth engagement app, and the importance of their role and responsibility in safe mobility. And also, after that, they create pins for location around the school, indicate where they felt unsafe or safe. The findings help them to identify risk location for further detail and technical assessment to determine star rating for school zone. The project also engaged youth in other communication activities. I'm happy to share with you that we create the MV featuring two Vietnamese rappers, which was received the Golden Award from the International Safety Media Awards, which were held as a part of the safety conference in 2024, early this month. A competition was organized to improve awareness and safe mobility among our young students and help them advocate for their needs to local government. We also host meetings and forums for our students to speak up and tell the authorities what they want to see change in their communities. This approach will put our young people closer to the decision-making power in developing and implementing community change. Next slide, please. Franco. So in addition to young people, we also work with the government to implement changes. Before implementation, we had identified a lack of data that could help our government officials to identify high-risk locations for prioritizing where they would allocate funds for road modifications. From the beginning of the project, our team has been very proactive in the engagement of government stakeholders at both national and provincial levels. We discussed about data gap and the importance of community input, especially our young people input. This approach led to positive awareness and attitude from local authority and to greater government ownership. Gathering youth inputs for authorities' decision-making is a very new approach in Vietnam. Together with our sub-partners, NDT and IRAP, we host several trainings, events, and meetings for government stakeholders and representatives from school to introduce our innovative approaches to target action more efficiently, demonstrate how they work, and explain how the data generated help them to make decisions. And the study visits to Melbourne was also a great chance for our government officials to exchange their experience with and learn from Victoria road safety experts about their safe school zone initiative. The combination of multiple government engagement efforts was extremely effective in changing attitudes and behaviors about the importance of long-term investment in safe school settings. Next slide, please, Franco. And after 3 years of implementation, the project has reached out to more than 9 million beneficiaries and achieved several major milestones, as below. Firstly, our students raise their voice and share their perception by creating more than 19,000 pins for location near their school, with notes about the road risk they see on their travel to and from school. Pre- and post-intervention surveys demonstrated a significant increase of student knowledge, attitude, and behaviors. Next slide, please. Based on big data screening, which was mentioned by Shanna previously, a risk score was developed to rank more than 1,000 schools in 3 cities as high, medium, or low risk, resulting in a list of 106 prioritized schools. And among these schools, 98 schools have only 1 or 2 star rating, indicating high road risk for our pedestrians, especially our young people and children. Next slide, please. We discussed these results and the recommendation for improvement with our local officials. We also link the data from this project to other projects at the same provinces. As a result, infrastructure at 9 schools was upgraded through donor funds, and the local government also developed and implemented an additional 89 road modification items at 13 other schools. Furthermore, the local government started action planning and allocating resources for road upgrades at the remaining schools. Next slide, please. And what we have learned from this pilot, firstly, it takes time for us to get the government buy-in and ownership for innovative digital programs, but once secured, it allows the project approach to directly influence road safety decision making. Secondly, public-private partnership between government, NGOs, and the private sectors and funders have proven effective in improving road safety and the well-being of youngsters and children. Thirdly, youth engagement apps support the collection of perception, but do not need validation. Different individuals perceive the environment differently, and there is no right or wrong. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Trang, and thank you, Shanna, for your presentation. Very interesting and very engaging. So far there are no questions, so I think we can move forward with the presentations. I will now give the floor to Molly Stoneman from yours. Molly, you can take the floor and also override my screen sharing. Perfect.
Thanks so much, Franco. Hopefully you can see my screen now.
Yes, perfectly.
Great. Hello, everyone. Xin chào mọi người ở nước Việt. My name is Molly. I am the Director of Projects and Partnerships with Youth for Road Safety, also known as YOURS. And we are a partner with AIP Foundation and IRAP, because AIP Foundation and IRAP have been excellent partners for championing why we need to engage young people in road safety programs, and have built this perspective into their programs for many years. But for a lot of partners out there, this is sort of a new approach in bringing young people not only into surveys at the very beginning or press releases at the very end, but involving young people throughout the entire process. So the AI and Me project is a great example of young people not only being a part of the process, but actually influencing the decisions of government and of other community stakeholders. My goal today is to share with you some more about the philosophy behind youth engagement in road safety, why it actually makes our programs stronger and more resilient over time, and also share with you some tools that you can use to build in youth engagement approaches into your programs. I represent YOURS, and we are a global organization that works with and for young people to demand and deliver road safety and sustainable mobility solutions. We've been doing it for a while to work with young people in designing solutions that are centered 100% around the youth perspective. We also manage the Global Youth Coalition for Road Safety, and this is a network of over 2,500 young activists and young professionals from all over the world, from over 126 countries. And through their own initiatives and local projects, they are impacting the road safety effects for over 500,000 members of their community. The core principle to all of this work is meaningful youth participation, not just showing the faces and smiles of young people, but let's use their brains, let's hear their voices when designing our programs. And through this, we can have youth-driven action. I think I don't need to tell this group about the urgency and the scale of the problem with road crashes, because there are 1.19 million people who we lose every year worldwide. But over 1/3 of those people are between the ages of 15 and 29. These are our young adults that have the energy and creativity to change the world, but we are losing them at a shocking rate. In fact, road crashes are the #1 killer of young people between the ages of 5 and 29 around the world. So this is, of course, a very urgent issue. For a long time in designing road safety solutions, when we think about young people and road safety, we think, oh, well, they're the problem. They are inexperienced, they're risky, they speed, they try to test the limits of what they can do on the roads. And the traditional mindset is to try to solve the behavior of young people as road users. But I believe on this call, we have a lot of people who are practitioners using the safe system approach. And under the safe system approach, we know that addressing the behavior of road users is just one piece of the bigger picture, because we also need to be considering the design of roads, how we're enforcing speed, how we are enforcing safe vehicle standards, both for automobiles and powered two-wheelers, and how we are really designing cities to be less car-centric and think about how pedestrians and cyclists move through the world. So I would propose to you that although some young people are doing risky behaviors, in general, young people are not the problem. They are actually an asset that we can use to design better, more effective programs. You might be asking, how are they an asset? I will tell you. We have seen over and over again that the youth generation are thinking outside of the box. They are creative, they have energy, they are entrepreneurial, and they are thinking of new solutions to our old problems. This youth generation are also digital natives, and the AI and Me project is a great example of this, where young people and even children are totally capable of using a mobile app to make their voices heard. Young people are interested in working smarter, not harder, to tackle these solutions, and we can do that through new technology. I think all of us have examples from our hometowns, our home countries, of young people who are not afraid to stand up to the status quo. They want their voice to be heard, and they are not accepting when the status quo has handed them a world that they do not like. So we see all over the world that the youth generation are fearless in making their voice heard. Last but not least, of course, the youth generation are also the key #1 vulnerable group that we need to protect with our solutions. It must be that the #1 group of victims affected by road crashes must be a part of designing the solutions. Without them, we are designing solutions that aren't actually going to target their road behavior and their reality. So we know that youth are an asset, but what is the relationship to the big picture of improving our road safety programs? Well, at a foundational level, youth are a recognized stakeholder in the global plan of action. So if you're using the Global Plan of Action as a framework for your work, please consider that youth are not just supposed to be on the sidelines, they are a key stakeholder to incorporate into your solutions. Our framework would suggest that we should make it mainstream and common for young people to be meaningfully involved in the decision-making rooms when it comes to road crashes and for many other topics. This includes formal and informal spaces. Over time, when youth are in the room and have an opportunity to contribute, we will design solutions that better meet their needs. And when we meet their needs better, we are going to design more efficient and effective solutions to try and reach the Global Plan of Action goal of reducing 50% fatalities from the road. The perspective from yours as well is that as we are finding effective solutions, we are actually changing the road safety culture. And our vision is that as this builds over time and over the upcoming decades, we will be able to give youth a future and of cities that are more safe, sustainable, inclusive, and equitable. So we're all bought in that youth should be in the room, young people, young adults. They should be in the room where decisions are being made. But is it enough to just be in the room? Well, yours would like to offer our framework for how to make it meaningful when the youth are involved in your decision-making processes. I would love to show you more and more tools, and I'll provide some QR codes later, of frameworks that you can use to make sure that it's actually meaningful participation when young people are involved. What we say when it's meaningful is that young people have an opportunity to add their experience, their ideas, their expertise, and their perspective into your programs, policy, and decision-making. So in other words, meaningful youth participation, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. It's a channel, it's an attitude, it's a lens through which the road safety policies and projects will become more effective. Meaningful youth participation also requires a departure from that traditional way of thinking that young people are too risky and they are the problem and they are part of the reason for their own crashes. We need a change in mindset. It will require a change in the way that we do things and the way that we work and build in structure for feedback. And it often requires an increase in time, financing, and resource investment to bring young people in. So, in other words, it is a change from the traditional approach. But if you're like me and you believe that it is worthwhile, then we have some more resources for you to take advantage of. Once young people are in the room, it will require a long-term commitment to making sure that their participation is meaningful and is improving over time. So for the leadership teams of your organizations, we would recommend to form relationships with the youth community of your area and build the foundation by interviewing them and asking, what are your needs? What are the barriers to participation currently? And what are the channels that would solve it? It will require a change in the way things are done traditionally. This might mean establishing a youth council, establishing a mobile app to collect feedback like the YEA app from the AI and Me project. And over time, as youth are meaningfully participating, it also requires evaluation so that we see what's working, what's not working, and we strengthen over time. In other words, it's not a quick one-size-fits-all solution. It is a long-term process, but we believe that it's worth it because over time, our road safety solutions will become more effective and we can save more lives. I know this can be a little bit intimidating, so I'm also here to say you're not alone in this and we have some tools to make it easier. I invite you all to check out the Policymakers Toolkit created by yours with support from FIA Foundation. The audience for this resource is government officials at local or even national levels, and we provide government structures with guidance and templates to assess how well they are currently considering young people in their community and also providing examples and case studies of solutions where young people are influencing policy decisions. A newly launched tool that I'm excited to tell you about is the Advocacy and Campaigns Toolkit. This is from yours with support from FIA Foundation and the Child Health Initiative. And it's available as a PDF report and as an interactive website where you can work through a lot of different templates and guides around youth participation. The audience for this tool are young adults and young people themselves who are interested in making their voice heard through an advocacy campaign or a public awareness campaign. Some of the tools that you can find in here are policy analysis guide, templates for building your advocacy plan, and templates for designing a communications campaign for policy change. For any of you that have young professionals in your organizations and in your network, we really encourage them to join the Global Youth Coalition for Road Safety. It's the world's largest youth network of young professionals dedicated and passionate about sustainable mobility. We are represented all over the world, and I'll flag that actually about 1/3 of our network are just based in Asia and Oceania. So there is a large network in this region to take advantage of. Through the network, members will have access to free and reduced cost resources, as well as a network of community members to trade ideas and share lessons. Through this network, we want to empower young people not only to claim their space to safe mobility and to safe travel in their local communities, but we believe that claiming their space also unlocks benefits for climate action, for health, for social equality, and for economic opportunity. So when you're designing your road safety solutions, please remember that there should be nothing about youth without youth, and yours is on hand to help you work through those questions and design projects to build in youth engagement. I know AIP and IRAP are also experts in this field, and I really thank them for inviting yours to present at this knowledge session. Thanks, Franco. I'll stop sharing my screen and hand it back to you.
Thank you very much, Molly, for your presentation, and thanks extended to the whole yours organization. I will move forward to Shan. Shan is going to present some youth engagement updates now, and then we will go to safe schools zones in Vietnam. Shan, I think my screen is visible again. So
Yes,
yeah,
thank
perfect.
you. Thank you, Franco. I will be very quickly because we have one more very interesting presentation to see. So I would just want to take this opportunity to say that the tools that we develop as part of the ANME, they are in continuous evolution and changing as we are receiving feedback from other users as well. So if you are using one of those tools, if you have any experience, get in contact with us regarding things that you want to develop or improve, because we always have some space for this type of upgrades. So this is just to show some examples of what we have been implementing. There was a feedback from the youth users as part of the ANME of having like different types of map layers in the platform, but also to use some filters to see in more details the pins in the main map. So these were just two basic functionalities that just went live even after the project, but it was based in feedback that we received during the project. So yeah, feel free to use these tools and get in contact with us if you have any other ideas of how these tools can support your work better, because this is basically what IRAP does, and we want to continue to support on your engagement with youth. And so getting all these things that Molly just presented and the amazing tools that yours developed, combined with these applications, for example, that we have, we can definitely do something incredible for road safety. So get in contact with us if you have any other ideas, and I will just give back to you, Franco, for our last presentation.
Thanks so much, Shan, and thanks so much, Molly, again, for running this topic. I will now change and we will go for the last topic of this session, which is the safe school zones in Vietnam. This presentation is going to be led by Hong with the AIP Foundation. So Hong, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Franco. So, hi everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today with you. So, my name is Hong, and I currently work for IAB Foundation as the Senior Program Manager, the same organization again. And today, I'm excited to share with you our Safe School Zone guide, which aims to enhance road safety for children in Vietnam. Next slide, please. Yeah, one of the biggest issues we face in Vietnam is the safety of school zones. And this is the photo taken at one of our project schools in central Vietnam that I think perfectly capture unsafe school zone in our country. As you can see, there was little to no safe pedestrian infrastructure, no school zone signage, no school zone speed limits, and other traffic calming measures. And unfortunately, at the time we had set out to launch our project, there were some pretty major gaps in the country's policy framework related to school zones, and that's the concept or the definition of what a safe school zone is and should look like in Vietnam does not exist. And in addition, in Vietnam, over 17 million children commute between home and school daily, and therefore they face serious road dangers due to the lack of clear policy for school zone. Next slide, please. And as a result, road traffic crashes rank as the second leading cause of death among children and youth under 20 years old in Vietnam. And according to the 2021 Global Burden of Disease study, we lost 2,081 children in road crashes. And for every one of these fatalities, 4 children are permanently disabled and another 10 sustain serious injuries. Next slide, please. And in response to that, IAB Foundation, in collaboration with Ministry of Transport and FA Foundation, launched the Safe School Zone Guide project, aiming to reduce road crash injuries and fatalities, particularly among school-age children, by establishing policy, procedure, and legal frameworks for the creation of school zones. Next, please. Yeah, thanks, Franco. So the project run from 2021 to 2025. The first 2 years, we focused on developing the guide. We signed a MOU with the Ministry of Transport to establish a collaborative approach. And then we formed a technical committee with key stakeholders at the national level and academic experts from Vietnam University of Transport. And then we organized regular consultation meetings to shape the guide structure and content. We also collaborated with the international partners, including GSB, WRI, GDCI, UNICEF, and AMEN, who provided valuable expertise to ensure our guide met the international standards. And then we piloted the guide in collaboration with the national and various provincial governments in 6 schools across the country to ensure that it was implementable and relevant for use in real-life context. And through all this work, we were able to celebrate in August 2023 with the guide being formally endorsed by Vietnam's Ministry of Transport as the first reference material for local governments to follow when engaging in school zone modification projects. This endorsement laid a strong foundation for further action. And after the endorsement, we worked with the Ministry of Transport to organize a national workshop to disseminate the guide to Department of Transport from 63 provinces across Vietnam. And 2 months later, by December 2023, Vietnam's Prime Minister issued Directive 31, which called on all relevant agencies to review and update the technical standards and regulation for school zone. And this directive also led the Ministry of Transport to issue Decision 64 in January 2024, directing all 63 provinces to report on their local assessments and action plans for improving school zone safety. And in response, the Department for Roads of Vietnam wrote out an action plan encouraging provincial
departments of transport and other related organizations to use the Safe School Zone Guide when modifying existing school zones or constructing new schools. And as a result, provinces across Vietnam are now actively assessing their school zones and developing action plans to enhance safety based on Safe School Zone recommendation. This action has already led to significant improvements in infrastructure, benefiting thousands of students and their communities. Next, please. And now I would like to introduce you to our Safe School Zone Guide. This guide provides comprehensive solutions from traffic planning to infrastructure development, design, and safety assessment. It includes 5 parts. Next, please. So the first part, general introduction. This part outlines the rationale, objective, and target audiences for the Safe School Zone Guide. Next, please. The second part, overview approach traffic safety in school zones. Here, we define what a safe school zone is, highlight major risks, and present best practice models. Next, please. And the third part, basic principle for school zone planning. For this part, we lay out essential principles for arranging school zone and school gates to meet safety requirements. Next slide, please. The part 4, designing safe traffic infrastructure in school zone. So this part, we present basic principle for safe school zone design, steps to be taken when improving and upgrading a safe school zone, and technical measures on road safe enhancement in schools. Next, please. And finally, we introduce assessment methods tailored specifically for school environments in the last part of the guide named Methods of Road Safety Assessment in School Zone. Yeah, next, please. So I just introduced some images and content of our Safe School Zone Guide to you. So if you would like to know more detail about our guide, please download here. It's available now. And you know, the AIB projects help the government identify priority areas that need improvement, while the Safe School Zone Guide serves as a reference document for the government during implementation of this intervention. So these projects complement each other and contribute to the national success of Safe School Zone Safety Initiative led by AIB Foundation in Vietnam. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Hong, for your presentation on safe school zones in Vietnam. We are a little bit behind schedule, but I think it's time for Q&A. As I told at the beginning of the session, you are invited, to raise your hand in order to speak. We would really like to hear from you. And in the meantime, while you are raising your hands, I received a couple of questions that I will direct to the speakers. The first is for Sid. Sid, I will read it and I can repeat it because it's quite long. It says, Foundation Bodnar have developed great initiatives to help improve young people's well-being in urban and digital space worldwide. So how do you often engage youth and use youth ideas to shape the foundation's strategies specifically?
Thank you for that question. So Foundation Bodnar really aims to engage youth in a meaningful way, and it was great to see in Molly's presentation all what that implies. So we have our different initiatives trying to engage youth in consultative, in really participatory, and across the entire spectrum of youth participation. Very recently, we went through a strategic refinement, a refinement of our own strategy, which was also presented to a global community of young people so that we could get their feedback towards this refinement. So we are on this journey to understand and engage to understand the process of meaningfully participating and engaging with young people. And we are trying to include them also in the foundation's work, but also we create that ask from all the projects that we fund to strive for meaningful participation of young people. So that becomes a criteria for selecting and funding projects as well. So it's at different levels, and we are on this journey. I'm very happy to also get feedback from other members of the RAP community.
Thank you so much, Sid, for your answer. We received one extra question, not for someone in particular, so I think all of the speakers can address that question. It says, from your project implementation experience, how can you help youth voices be turned into actions by government, who often have the power to take actions? This is a very interesting question. So I don't know, Molly, if you would like to take the lead on answering that one.
Sure. One of the initiatives that yours runs is called the Local Actions Project. And through this program, we provide a small amount of seed funding to youth-led projects all over the world. They have to apply and provide evidence for their idea. And we have found that by investing a small amount of startup funding into these ideas, as well as providing mentorship, coaching, and technical support and partnership matching, these youth projects go crazy and they can become their own NGOs. They've often become folded into government initiatives or university initiatives. For example, one NGO, one local leader in Mexico, based in Guadalajara, has started from a small local action project with only a couple €1,000 from yours. And it has turned into its own self-sustaining NGO with operations in 14 different cities of Mexico. Oftentimes, we find that young people just need someone to invest in them, to believe in them, and this doesn't have to be financial. But one of the biggest requests we also get is for mentorship and professional development coaching. So if financing is out of the question for your organizations and we're all, operating under tight constraints, go the mentorship route and provide that professional support to young people. From the government perspective, an effective tactic that we've seen is to establish youth councils in local governments. So this might be an assembly or a committee of young activists in the community who can weigh in when the city council or when a provincial level council are making decisions. This also ensures that young people have a peek into the decision-making process before things become final. And something that we encourage everyone to avoid is only bringing in young people once the decisions are already final. They should be involved in the design and actually the flow of coming to the right decision, because their experience, they are the experts of how young people move through a city.
So much, Molly, for that really complete answer. I don't know if AIB or Shan or even Min want also to add on that question from other
Yeah,
perspectives.
I can quickly add, just for the project perspective, let's say for the AIB one, I think one of the things that we realized in the course of the project that was really lacking like a communication channel between the school community and the local authorities. I think this can be done in many different ways, like the youth councils that Molly just mentioned. It's a perfect example of how this can be created in a structure that will remain for long periods. I think as part of the project, we try to create this in different ways. So the mobile app, it's one of those ways where it maybe it's not a direct input, but it's in a way of creating the really a channel for inputting demands and then governments listening for the data perspective, let's say. But we did this in different ways, as Trang presented in their presentations, of inviting you for meetings to present their views, or creating some other opportunities to connect really the youth leaders or those ones that are more engaged in road safety, or they want to be more engaged with road safety with the local authorities. So I think communication is something that is, or creating these channels of communication is something that anyone can explore, and doesn't need to be a lot of funding involved in this process, and we can have very interesting results of getting these channels running.
Thank you so much, Shan, also for adding into that question. So yeah, I think we are on time. I would like to, well, I will share my screen back again just in case you want to have my contact details. So if there was any question that wasn't addressed or any doubt that you have, you can contact me and I can direct you or your questions to the speaker that you would like to ask the question, or the organization, and I will be more than happy to bridge you to them. So before we go, I want to thank again Foundation Bodnar with Sid for being here with us. Also AIP Foundation with Hong and Trang, and yours and Youth for Road Safety with Molly for being here with us. Of course, big thanks to Shan and Min as well for being in charge of this, of planning this 10th session of the Rap Knowledge Live. Soon we will announce the next round for October, which will be surely on Star Rating for Designs, but we are looking for a date, so we will keep you on the same page with that. So thank you all of you, especially as well, for taking the time and spending 1 hour of your busy schedules with us. I hope you enjoyed the meeting. Remember that this is recorded and it will be uploaded between today and tomorrow. Thank you all, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Franco.